Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Hurst, and I've had the privilege of being co-chair of the Whitney Museum of American Art. And joining me on stage today are my co-chair, Brooke Neidick, and president of the board, Neil Bloom. And also joining us up here are Renzo Piano, our great architect, our honorary chairman and granddaughter of founder Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, Flora Miller Biddle, director Adam Weinberg, and Mayor Bill de Blasio. And on this historic occasion, we are pleased and honored to have the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, dedicate the new Whitney Museum of American Art. The Whitney chronicles our nation's creative cultural heritage through our defining collection of modern and contemporary American art and our risk-taking exhibitions, fostering an understanding and appreciation for the art of our great nation is central to the museum's mission, as evidenced in our innovative education programs. Mrs. Obama and the President share a deep commitment to what the Whitney most values: access to our rich and diverse heritage through the arts. As Mrs. Obama has stated, the arts are not just a nice thing to have, they define who we are as a people. Mrs. Obama, your leadership and your presence today symbolize a new era in the history of the Whitney and its commitment to championing the ever-evolving cultural life of the United States of America. The Whitney Studio Club, our first home in Greenwich Village, was a bit more modest, that's an understatement, than the 220,000 square foot Renzo Piano building we are about to dedicate. But Mrs. Whitney's bold and at the time radical vision to support and showcase American artists established our mission, which has withstood the test of time and is more relevant today than ever. In 1920, Edward Hopper, the iconic American artist who is most identified with the Whitney, had his first show at the Studio Club. And we are so proud to have two of Hopper's Cape Cod landscapes on loan to the Oval Office. We understand the President is particularly fond of Hopper's work, and we trust that it will be a reminder of the importance of American art and the Whitney to our nation. 84 years and 4 locations later, the Board of Trustees, inspired by a pace-setting leadership gift by Chairman Emeritus Leonard Lauder, determined that we must expand. And that ultimately required a move downtown here to the Meatpacking District. Rarely does one have the opportunity to build a museum from the ground up in the cultural capital of the world. And thanks to an extraordinary partnership with the City of New York and an early leadership gift from the State of New York, we launched a capital campaign for $760 million for the building and a strengthened endowment, and we are so pleased that that goal has been achieved due to unprecedented public and private generosity. The Whitney Museum of American Art belongs to the nation and to the world, but we are New Yorkers at heart. And when you experience the museum, you will see not only a breathtaking collection, but you will literally have a window onto New York with dramatic views of the skyline and the Empire State Building to the east, the Hudson River to the west, the Statue of Liberty to the south, and the High Line right here. This amazing location places this defining museum of American art firmly among the city's cultural and historic icons. We are so grateful to be joined by New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio, who has made an investment in ensuring that all the arts are available to all New Yorkers, a goal that the Whitney aspires to achieve. Thank you. Deeply committed to education, Mayor de Blasio believes, and research demonstrates, that studying the arts helps students succeed in school and in life. Studying the art of the United States surely provides a window into our history and aspirations as a nation. An occasion like this brings so many dignitaries and luminaries together to celebrate this extraordinary gift to the public. And we are honored to have you all with us today, and I'd like to acknowledge Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, United States Congressman Gerald Nadler, New York State Senator Brad Hoylman, New York State Assembly Member Deborah Glick, City Council Majority Leader and Chair of the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Jimmy Van Bramer, City Council Member District 3, that's our district, Corey Johnson, my good friend Ellen Sussman, Director of Art in Embassies Program, Deputy Mayor Alicia Glenn, Department of Cultural Affairs Commissioner and longtime friend of the Whitney, Tom Finkelpair, and other members of the Cuomo and de Blasio administrations. Creating the new Whitney for the artists of today and future generations took the courage and conviction and generosity of many, not least my fellow board members. I ask you all to stand. Board, please. This is an amazing, dedicated, incredibly generous group. Thank you. And it took the dedication also of a remarkable, dedicated staff led by our incomparable director, Adam Weinberg. Our renowned architect, Renzo Piano, shared our conviction to ensure that artists would have free rein to express and exhibit their ideas at the Whitney. Renzo has become a trusted friend and partner. The Whitney staff shared ideas, he listened. We consulted artists, he listened. But we also learned from him, and together we created the new Whitney. Indeed, it takes a good client, but it requires a great architect to achieve extraordinary public spaces. I am pleased to introduce our architect, the great Renzo Piano. Thank you.
Mamma mia, what a joy. I welcome you in the name of thousands and thousands of people that made this job. Architecture is a teamwork. I have to show my gratitude to 1,000 people, architects, engineers, builders, and the clients. It's a long venture to make a building like this takes 8 years, 9 years. It's a long story. So welcome, and welcome to this new, brand new piazza Somebody called this the lobby of the building. I prefer to call the piazza. I'm sorry, I'm Italian. There's nothing I can do about it. And it's very simple. Why? Because the piazza is where from everything starts in the city life. The piazza is the place where people gather. They stay together. They mix experience. Diversity becomes value. And even fear goes away. It's a place of meeting. It's a place of civic life. So we got to start from a piazza. So this street became a largo, a bit wider street. And to make a piazza, we got to make a building that flies. You know, this building doesn't touch ground. It flies. Well, I know buildings don't fly. Especially this one, because it weighs 28,000 tons. So it doesn't fly. But you know, the destiny of the architect is to fight against gravity all life. Actually, I believe this is the destiny of everybody, fighting against gravity all life. So welcome to this piazza. Welcome to this great collection of art upstairs. It's American art. Art is a freedom, but American art is especially free. A bit wild, slightly impolite, but free. Free. And the building got to be able to express this. This building got to deserve the honor to be the house of this collection. So it got to be brave, flying, you know. It got to be slightly wild, a bit unpolite as well, but real. So the building stretches from east where the sun comes up, flirting with the city, by the terrace, by the stairs. This is the place where people can enjoy life, taking time, meandering on the stairs, loitering around. And on the west, where the sun goes down, the building talks to the rest of the world. It talks to the traffic of the highway. There's nothing wrong about that. That's New York. And then it talks to the river, and talks to the far west, and talks to Los Angeles, if you look carefully, and the rest of the world. I like this idea that this building is a stretch between New York and the rest of the world. Well, I have to finish. You know, you probably understand, I love making buildings. But I especially love making buildings for public use. I think public buildings are the essence of cities because they're places where people share values. They stay together and they enjoy the same thing. And I especially among public buildings, I love to make buildings for art and beauty. And the reason is very simple, because art and beauty makes people better people. Beauty switches on the eyes of people, a special light. Beauty builds curiosity. It builds desires. In the same way, art makes people better people. Building for art makes city better place to stay and to live. It's very simple. That's the reason why it's so important to make building for beauty. And I'm pretty sure that beauty will save the world. I'm not joking. I'm sure beauty will save the world. It will save one person at a time, not all together, but it will do it. So thank you for coming. The building is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Adam Weinberg, the Alice Pratt Brown Director of the Whitney Museum of American Art. This is going to be hard to get through. Welcome to the Whitney Museum of American Art. We are greatly, greatly honored to have the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, here with us this morning. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mayor de Blasio of the City of New York, for being here with us today for this dedication. The Whitney Museum originated over a century ago, just blocks from here in Greenwich Village. It began in McDougal Alley, the studio of Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, an artist and an heiress of America's wealthiest family. There, she hosted salons for artists, exhibited and purchased their work, and encouraged their aspirations. Her support of artists was not so much born of her success, but of her doubts, insecurities, and struggles than she. She believed that great art and great artists have the responsibility to lead the public to greater insight and more effective thought. Gertrude's growth as a person, a woman, and an artist were parallel journeys that ultimately led to the creation of this singular museum, the embodiment of who she was and who she hoped to be. As her biographer wrote, in addition to expressing herself in sculpture, she expressed herself in patronage. Mrs. Whitney sponsored artists, exhibitions, publications, arts programs for poor immigrants at settlement houses, and so much more. She found herself in giving back to others. And her ultimate lasting gift was the museum she established in 1930. And since then, her legacy has been passionately carried on by subsequent generations of visionary Whitney women, including her granddaughter, Flora Miller Biddle, and her great-granddaughter, Fiona Donovan. In recent days, a word that has come up often with visitors and critics to describe the design of this magnificent Renzo Piano building is generous, meaning not only that it is generous in space for art of all descriptions, but it also unfolds to the city, is welcoming to the public, respectful to the neighborhood, airy, open, light, but comfortable and warm. Our architect, Renzo Piano, has done an extraordinary job merging the private with the civic, creating spaces that reaffirm one's humanity through scale and material. He has connected the world of art within with the experience of the world without, making room for contemplation of art and of life. In short, in collaboration with a talented, generous, and missionary staff of the Whitney Museum, notable among them Donna DeSalvo, our Deputy Director for Programs and Chief Curator. Donna. They have created a museum that exemplifies and furthers Gertrude's vision of a home for contemporary art and artists, remembering that even historical works on view were contemporary in their time and presented effectively, as the curatorial staff has done here today, can be as potent as the day they were made. As my predecessor, Lloyd Goodrich, wrote at the time of the dedication of the Whitney Museum on 75th Street in 1966, presided over by Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney's daughter, Flora Miller, and First Lady Jackie Kennedy. The museum should never forget that the source of art is the artist. It should respect his individuality, her individuality, and not impose a viewpoint on him or her. It should always welcome the young and the innovator, recognizing that the diversity of contemporary art, it should represent all contemporary and creative tendencies. It should eschew a narrow definition of American, disregarding foreign birth or citizenship, and accepting as American any artist resident in this country. The Whitney has always believed in the importance of the present, the capacity for artists to act in and affect the life of our times, to alter perceptions in such ways that might enable one to change the course of history. The following words of President Barack Obama are words that Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney and the artists we champion would embrace. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. The Whitney Museum believes deeply in these words before they were even spoken. This, too, is our creed, to serve as a platform for artists who affirm that the world that we see and experience today is not all there is and not all that can be, New worlds can be imagined and created, as President Barack Obama said, now and in this time. We are here for those artists as they are here for us. Our new home was designed for and is now reconsecrated in this belief. This is our gift to our city, our nation, and the world, as it was in Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney's in her time. The gift was made possible by so many, particularly the Board of Trustees of the Whitney Museum, led by Bob Hurst, Brooke Neidick, and Neil Bloom. They and many generous individuals believed when others said it could not be done, persevered when the obstacles appeared, and supported when others were hesitant to give, and trust me, they were. All of us here today, and those who will visit for decades to come, can be grateful to these extraordinary people. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Bill de Blasio. Mayor de Blasio is committed to leaving a lasting arts legacy in this city. Last summer, and not long after entering office, the mayor stood proud with Comptroller Stringer and School Chancellor Farina to announce a $23 million increase in arts education support for New York City public schools. Bravo. Mayor de Blasio said, "We want every child to feel the spark that comes from learning, something they are passionate about. And so often it's taking up an instrument, honing an artistic craft, or performing for the first time that helps a young person come into their own." And I see so many young people out there today. We are fortunate to have a mayor who shares our belief that art is a right, not a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. Adam is quite evidently, for all who know his work and all who know him personally, he falls into that special category, force of nature, and I think we have seen it in this lead up to this great moment. So I think you don't get to a day like this without extraordinary energy and focus and leadership. Let's thank Adam for all he has done. This is an extraordinary day for New York City, for this nation, for the world of the arts. This is a signal moment about where we are and where we're trying to go. And you know something important is happening when First Lady Michelle Obama is there. And so, First Lady, first of all, you've made all of our day by being a part of this. Even jaded New Yorkers think it's special when Michelle Obama is present. And First Lady, what I appreciate among many things about what you've done for our nation is you have made clear we have to think about the development of our people, particularly our young people, their development, their emotional development, their health, not just physically, but their mental health as well, which you've focused on, and we thank you for that. Their understanding of a true wellness throughout their lives, and that includes a deep appreciation of the arts and culture and a sense of connection to it. So our First Lady understands that arts are essential to human growth and development, and that makes us a better nation. Let's thank her. But I'm not done being starstruck. Renzo Piano. Renzo Piano. If in all the different action movies there was an architect superhero, first of all, he would do the things that Renzo Piano does. Second of all, his name would inevitably be Renzo Piano. This man has done so much around the world to create that space for everyone. And his work pulls at us in such a good way. It makes us feel hope and possibility. And so I just want to say, as a New Yorker, I'm so proud. As an Italian American, I'm so proud. And Renzo, you bring out the best in Italians. We like being associated with you. Bravo, Renzo. Che bella piazza. Thank you to all the great leaders of this institution who worked so hard, did so much to bring in the resources and the support to navigate everything it took. And we should thank them all. Board of Trustees President Neil Bloom, Co-Chair Bob Hurst, and Co-Chair Brooke Garber-Neidick. We thank you deeply. We thank all the elected officials. We thank all the members of our administration who are part of this. This is a labor of love for everyone. Everyone has helped to make it happen. But I think we could safely say a special thank you, because it's wonderful when a family from generation to generation passes the torch in the service of others and believes in something so deeply as providing this extraordinary cultural opportunity to all. Flora, you are part of a great tradition. You're upholding it. You're deepening it. The next generation is taking it up, and that makes us all feel hope. Let's thank Flora. Well, we already knew we were the Mecca of the art world, but just in case, we need to make it clearer. This museum does it, and as New Yorkers, we are extraordinarily proud. We're proud that people from around the world come to experience our cultural life. 56 million plus last year came to the city, and the vast majority of them came, in part at least, to experience our extraordinary cultural institutions. I particularly love that this museum's origins are in something so powerfully typical of our city. Think about Greenwich Village, 1907. Ideas being thought far from the mainstream, far over the horizon. And in New York City, one thing we are blessed by is if you think that way, if you see something that's not in the mainstream and isn't yet accepted, here you'll find others who want to join that dream, who want to believe with you, who want to create something different. This dream began in 1907 with Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney and has grown and grown and grown, just as freedom of thought and cultural expression and inclusion of all peoples have grown and grown in this city. Extraordinary artists who were elevated here, now part of what we think of as the core of American cultural history, once upon a time outcasts, once upon a time unable to get a wider audience until they had this opportunity. And the Whitney today follows through on that belief structure in many other ways, makes culture available to so many in such a focused, pinpointed manner, brings in young people, focuses on so many young people who still to this day experience discrimination and negativity. There's a special focus on mentoring our LGBT youth. There's free workshops for our seniors as well. There's focus on adults with HIV and AIDS. So much happens through the Whitney to uplift. And yes, a focus on the students in our public schools from every walk of life, every background. This museum has made it a point to be an open door to them. We, last week, talked about the vision for the future of the city. We issued a plan looking decades ahead. We called it One New York. We called it One New York because we're still trying to create a more perfect union here. And the cultural community is and can be in the forefront of that. We know when the doors of our cultural institutions are open wider and wider to every kind of New Yorker, when everyone knows they belong here, it uplifts this entire city. We know that walking through the doors of a great place like this into the piazza gives people a sense of belonging and gives them a pathway to a different and better future. So I can tell you, for New York City today, this affirms who we are and makes us one step closer to that more perfect union. Thank you all.
It's now my great honor and joy to introduce my friend and my muse, with all due forgiveness to my wife, Lorraine, the honorary chairman of the Whitney Museum of American Art, Flora Miller Biddle, the granddaughter of Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, who herself led this museum for many years and has made an indelible impact on its collection and culture and the upholding of its ideals. Flora, please join us.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you all. I am elated to be here today to celebrate the beginning of a new era for the Whitney Museum of American Art, which has occupied such an essential place in my life. My warmest congratulations to Adam and the entire staff of the Whitney, to the board and donors, to Renzo, and to everyone who made this dream come true. In 1907, my grandmother, Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, first showed the work of her fellow artists in her Greenwich Village studio. Few came at that time to see the work. For most collectors, European art was all that mattered. As an artist, a sculptor, she was passionately determined to get commissions herself and also to build audiences for American art, of whose excellence and importance she was convinced. She struggled hard to achieve both ideals. When my grandmother spoke at the opening of the Whitney in 1931, she said that her collection of art would form the nucleus of this museum. Quote, devoted exclusively to American art, a museum that will grow and increase in importance as we ourselves grow. She continued, my chief desire is that you share with me the joy which I have received from these works of art. It is especially at times like these that we need to look to the spiritual. In art, we find it. At the time that she spoke these words, the country had entered the Great Depression. But I think that in the world we inhabit today, these words have never been truer. The need for art has never been greater. For art can lift us. It can tell us who we are, who we've been, and who we can be. I believe, as Gertrude did, that art is a force for goodness in the world, and that it is limitless. When I wrote a book about my family and the history of this museum, I chose an epigraph from Goethe. A museum should be never finished, but boundless and ever in motion. And really, that's the way the Whitney has been. And now the physical construction of this extraordinary new building is complete, and the museum is ready to receive visitors, but it will be artists who will keep it ever in motion. That is what artists do, and why their work is so precious and so necessary. They carry us forward into the unknown, into mystery, into wisdom, into truth. I'm so honored to have been invited to introduce our First Lady, who is such a passionate advocate for young people and for the importance of education, the environment, and culture in our country. She has brought a profound humanity in her role as First Lady and championed those in need of a powerful voice. I applaud you for all you have accomplished with astonishing grace. And I want to thank you on behalf of everyone here for honoring us with your presence. You are a beacon for us all. Please join me in welcoming the First Lady of the United States of America, Michelle Obama.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Is it still morning? Let me just say, it's a privilege for me to be here today in this beautiful new space for this great American museum. It is truly an honor. And I want to start by thanking Flora, not just for that very generous introduction, but for her family's extraordinary commitment to American art over so many years. And she is a joy to us all, a gift. And we are so grateful to her, to her entire family. I also want to recognize Mayor de Blasio for his leadership and his passion and for joining us here today. Absolutely. And I took a very brief tour, too brief, Adam, so I'm coming back. And I fell in love with the building. It is an amazing space, but I love it even more after Renzo Piano talked about it. Doesn't he just make you love the building even more? The piazza? What a gift. Thank you so much. But more importantly, I want to thank all of you for everything you've done to bring us to this moment. Thank you all for the support, for the inspiration. Thank you for creating the spectacular works of art, our artists, that grace the walls, the floors, the ceilings. This is the most beautiful freight elevator I've ever ridden on. Just about every space in this museum is magnificent. And that's really one of the joys of this new building, so brilliantly designed by Renzo Piano. The variety of spaces it has for artists to engage and experiment and truly have their work be seen. So I really can't think of a better theme for this inaugural exhibit than America is Hard to See, because that title isn't just a statement of fact. It's a challenge that the Whitney has embraced with open arms, the challenge of truly seeing America in all of its glory and complexity. With this exhibit, all of you at the Whitney, the staff, everyone here, all the artists have asked the question, how can we truly fully witness the melting pot of cultures and sensibilities and struggles that make America unlike any other country on earth? This is a bold, very hard question. And this exhibit isn't trying to provide any kind of definitive answer. Instead, it's doing something even more important. It's inviting us to answer this question for ourselves. Each of us reflecting and rethinking our assumptions as we walk through these galleries. And I think that will be an incredibly powerful experience for anyone who comes here to visit. But it will be particularly powerful for our young people. You see, there are so many kids in this country who look at places like museums and concert halls and other cultural centers, and they think to themselves, well, that's not a place for me. For someone who looks like me, for someone who comes from my neighborhood. In fact, I guarantee you that right now there are kids living less than a mile from here who would never in a million years dream that they would be welcome in this museum. And growing up on the south side of Chicago, I was one of those kids myself. So I know the feeling of not belonging in a place like this. And today as First Lady, I know how that feeling limits the horizons of far too many of our young people. And that's one of the reasons why Barack and I, when we first came to Washington, we vowed to open up the White House to as many young people as possible, especially those who ordinarily wouldn't have a chance to visit. So just about every time we host any kind of cultural event, a concert or performance, we ask the performers to come a few hours early and host a special workshop just for our young people. The message we're trying to send is simple. We're telling our young people the White House is your house. You belong here just as much as anyone else in this country. We're telling them, make yourselves at home in this house. Be inspired by the artists and performers you see and start dreaming just a little bigger. Start reaching just a little higher for yourself. And with this inaugural exhibition, the Whitney is really sending the same message to young people and to people of every background across this country. You're telling them that their story is part of the American story and that they deserve to be seen. And you're sending that message not just with the art you display, but with the educational programming you run here. You're reaching out to kids from all backgrounds, exposing them to the arts, showing them that they have something to contribute. One of those young people said this about the Whitney, and this is a quote we pulled. It said, "Having gone through the program, I felt like the museum is home to me. Even if I've never been to a particular museum before, I just know how to be in this space." Another young person going through one of the programs said, "I could rise above the negativity I saw around me every day within my community. Because of the work that you do here, that's the impact you're having on kids every day." And in the end, that's why I'm here today. And I know that's why we're all here today. I'm here because I believe so strongly in that mission. And because I think that every cultural institution in this country should be doing this kind of outreach and engagement with our young people every single day. So what I want to ask those out there watching, absolutely, if you run a theater or a concert hall, make sure you're setting aside some free tickets for our young people. If you run a museum, make sure that you're reaching out to kids in struggling communities, invite them in to see those exhibits. Can you use technology to bring those exhibits to kids in remote areas who would never, ever be exposed to art otherwise? One visit, one performance, one touch, and who knows how you could spark a child's imagination. As the mayor said, maybe you could inspire a young person to rise above the circumstances of their life and reach for something better. Maybe you could discover the next Carmen Herrera or Archibald Motley or Edward Hopper, or maybe even the next Barack Obama. That is the power of institutions like the Whitney. When they open their doors as wide as possible, both to the artists they embrace and to the young people they seek to uplift, that's what happens. And today I am so proud to be here as we open these doors. I am so grateful to all of you, to the donors, to the board, to the staff, to the artists, to everyone here, to the skeptics. Thank you for making this day possible. And I truly cannot wait to see the impact this extraordinary museum will have in the years ahead. So thank you so much. Congratulations. And with that, it is now time for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Congratulations again.
Okay, we're going to begin the ribbon cutting ceremony, and I just want to thank Mrs. Obama. Art does change lives, and please know that we take that responsibility so seriously and so to heart. We're here for not just the people of New York, but for the people of the country and the people of the world. So if you have your seats, the ribbon ceremony will take place.
On Gansevoort, a flower blooms, rising from the cobblestones. The day's just begun, with light through the trees, and this is the same light that falls from our dreams. And it's a Whitney dedication, and it's a Whitney
Hi, I'm Ari Fliakos. I'm with the Worcester Group. These are nice, fun moments. You can tell we are enjoying it. It's really also a great privilege to have the Whitney on the west side. We just worked down the street in Soho, and it's great fun to have you around. So thank you for populating this area, and we wish you every great success. Let me introduce a couple of other company members that we have with us. Suzy Roach, Scott Shepard, also with the Worcester Group. So would you each like to say something terrific about this?
Yeah, I said just give us 30 seconds. I'm just thrilled that the Whitney is here. This whole project happened so fast, and just getting the building here has been phenomenal, and having the Whitney here is really a new welcome neighbor to the neighborhood. I also live not too far away, and we're just absolutely thrilled that you're here. Congratulations.
And I just want to welcome you all of you who have come from far and wide in the Whitney family to be at this event today. And thank you for inviting me. One of the things that we're always working on are two things that we're always working on. One, filling empty spaces. And you've done a great job of filling a space that has been vacant. And the other is that we're always hoping for new, good jobs in our community, and you've done a great job of providing some new jobs for people in our community. So we thank you for both those things, and welcome to the Meatpacking District.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Erin Mullen. Erin, would you like to say something terrific?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try and make it terrific. Well, first of all, I know we do have a lot of colleagues here that have come out to support this, and they're very familiar faces. They've supported this over the last couple of months with pre-opening, so I want to say thank you again. Couldn't have done it without all of you. I want to thank the community support that we've gotten here today, and just ongoing with our permit process and all of that. And we are really glad to have the Whitney on the west side. A local native Chelsea girl myself, I'm really happy to have the Whitney in my own community, and I thank you guys all for that.
And Jamie Poskin, the company manager, would you like a last word before we cut our ribbon?
Well, just a thanks for everyone for coming and being here today and supporting us and supporting Adam and Bob and their team to be able to, get this building open and running. And we're very excited to have the Whitney, on the west side of Manhattan. And just to be able to provide more convenience for patrons is really what it's all about. So thank you. We're glad you're here, and we appreciate it.
So thanks so much. Fellas, if you'd stretch the ribbon, we'll cut it on 3. You ready to go? 1,
Don't pull it apart.
2, 3.